This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1179, and it's the Relevant Podcast here in a parking lot in McKaysville, Georgia. I'm your host, Cameron Strang. And joining me from Loverland, Virginia is Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, artist, producer, mogul, Derek Miner.
What up, though?
And just down the street there, our managing editor, downtown Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
Okay, we have a great show in store for you today. Letitia Wright is our guest.
Wow.
Letitia, famous actress. She's incredible. She's on the cover of the new issue of Relevant, the digital issue coming out within days of this podcast. So we're doing that to celebrate the new issue. We will tell you about the new issue coming up on the show. And at the end of the show, it's a little bit late, but it's our annual tradition. It's July 4th week. I mean, it was a few days ago. This is the Tuesday show. It was last week. We didn't get a chance to play the game we play every year. Rock Band or Firework.
Yes.
And so that's coming up at the end of the show. Now, Jesse, it's your game that you created decades ago.
And curated for, yeah.
You did indie rock band and you did like obscure indie stuff.
Yeah.
I went straight 80s glam metal rock band.
Good.
Or Firework. It's
Good.
Harder, I think.
We'll see.
So
every year I was surprised at how difficult, even as the quiz master, I would have to keep my answer key close because of how challenging it was.
I tested it out. I have two columns on a document, and above one it says Rock Band, on the other it says Firework. And these are actual fireworks, obviously from fireworks.com. You know the rules. This has to be provable, yep. Googleable. Yeah. Okay. I covered up the header and ran it by my son to see if he could pick which was which, and he could not. So this is, I think we're in for a tough one this year.
Scared.
By the way, he just texted me. He said, can I get a shout out on the podcast? So shout out to Cohen, who's back up at the Mountain House while I sit in a parking lot to record this podcast. So just a little context of why I'm sitting in a parking lot real quick. Family vacation, rented a mountain house in the North Georgia mountains, the Smokies, the Blue Ridge Mountains, and got to this house in 2024 and found out there's no cell service. And the quote unquote Wi-Fi that we had, I speed tested it. It had 0.36 of 1 megabyte was our download speed. So I drove around yesterday in rural Tennessee and Georgia looking for an LTE signal that was strong enough that I could do this podcast. I found it in a parking lot in McKaysville, Georgia, or McKaysville, Tennessee. So McKaysville, cute little downtown.
I've been in Tennessee most of my life, and I've never heard of that place.
It is a town, Derek, where the Georgia-Tennessee state line goes through the middle of Main Street. It is directly on the North Georgia, Southern Tennessee, Southeast Tennessee border. So there you go.
Yeah,
you couldn't find
where they did the whitewater rafting for the Olympics. That's right down the road, the Ocoee. It's famous whitewater rafting river.
We always remember that epic moment in American sports.
Highlight of our life.
Shut up. I'm going tomorrow whitewater rafting on the Olympic run in the Ocoee. So I'm pretty excited. Leave me alone. So.
Well, I'm surprised you couldn't find like a Panera Bread to park in front of and steal their Wi-Fi and order one of those dangerously caffeinated lemonades.
Well, Jesse, let me tell you, I tried this yesterday. I went to Blue Ridge, Georgia. Had a Starbucks. I'm like, solution, done. Sitting in the parking lot of the Starbucks. Tested it, 2.4 megabytes at the Starbucks Wi-Fi. Like, dude, they don't have the internet out here. I don't know what's going on. How these people live. I don't get it.
They're living the good life is what they're living. They're living the good life. That's what it is.
Yeah. Agreed. I will say, like, you having to deal with this does remind me of the year that I was traveling, and there were times where I would be on the road, like going somewhere else, and I would just like have to find random places to access Wi-Fi on the road. And I think probably the most memorable one was when I was driving back from Florida with some friends, and I think Tyler called me. He needed some file that was on my computer. And I thought like, oh, okay, I'll just hotspot from my phone, open up my laptop. It's fine. Well, my laptop was dead and I didn't have a way to charge it. And so long story short, I ended up going to a restroom at a Publix. and I charged my computer there. And
a restroom at a Publix?
It was like the family restroom, and so I used like the baby changing station as like my little standing desk just to charge it for 5 minutes so I could send a file.
They had a power cord. They had like an outlet in the bathroom.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope you sanitized your laptop.
I did. I washed my hands. I got like wipes and everything. What was funny is my friends were getting pub subs at the time, and I told them my order while I was like, I gotta go send an email or something. So I'm going to go to the bathroom. Yeah. But there are outlets in bathrooms. And I knew that because I've seen people charge their phones there before. So I was like, this might be my best solution. So at least he's not in a bathroom.
For sure.
But Cameron, driving around these parts where there's very limited to no connection to the internet, do people just seem happier? Do they seem less stressed out that they're not just wired in all the time?
The big event is when is peach season turns into apple season. Yeah. I mean, literally these people are just content and they're antiquing and they're looking at hills and mountains and they're just happy. That's why we come up here every year, because it's like, I want to reset. You know what I mean? I haven't stayed at a mountain house yet that had literally no connection.
So they didn't see Sexy Red at the BET Awards? It didn't bother them?
They did not.
You should go do a poll right now and be like, hey, what'd you feel about Sexy Red's performance at the BET Awards? And just see what the response.
Come again?
The who, what, of the where?
But it does make you wonder, how much, the internet the internet and sort of the prolonged isolation that a lot of people experience during COVID had just, changed the way, people interact that aren't in kind of a rural setting where things have just always operated the same. I saw a post from someone who was, I think they were pretty young, and it was I just had a great idea. It's like a podcast where I get people together, but there's no mics and we don't record anything. And somebody's like, my dude's out here thinking he just invented hanging out. And it's has the internet distorted everything that we just see it through the lens of that we forgot, oh, wait, you can just live without this thing,
Yeah.
You really can. I mean, we can't stream anything because, other years we've been in a mountain house. I'll put on Netflix. We'll just, watch shows, relax, read, whatever. And they don't have streaming at this house, obviously. They have antenna, standard def TV on one cruddy TV in the one room. It's just but there's a pool table and a hot tub and mountains
board
to go explore.
And
board games. Cone and I played dominoes for hours last night. It's just
your mental health is going to skyrocket this week because you're going to be so offline.
But the thing is,
I've been stressed though because I've had work to do.
Sure.
Literally, we're working on the magazine right now, and I have to download massive creative files. I mean, Photoshop files, InDesign files. I can't. I mean, straight up, I'm letting the team down.
No, you're not letting us down, bro. You got a whole team of people, but there's no stress as a creative bigger than having to send a large file that's due that day on bad internet. There's not a stress in the world that's crazier than that. I'll take that back. In the first world, that's crazier than that as a creative. And it feels right? Exactly. Because it feels when you have all the time in the world to send that file, you could have sent it a week ago. You didn't send it because you was doing whatever. You was on Instagram. But then it's the day of is when all of the cell service is just one bar. And that it's just that way, unfortunately.
And it's the kind of stress where you're watching. It's all right, 70%. Last time we got to 85 before it failed. I had to restart it. And it's just watching that little animation of it is so stressful unnecessarily. But it's the way
animation, right? It's the animation that makes it stressful. It gets all the way to 80%.
You're right there. You're right there. You can do this. You can do this. Yeah. It's. But Cameron, where the people where you are have no context for that level of anxiety.
They're just stressed if they have a new armoire get delivered for the antique shop and they don't have enough floor space. They need to move a couple of the other antiques around to make room for the new armoire. Okay, first of all, I'm watching two men load in an armoire into an antique store across the street from me here in McKaysville, Tennessee. So that's their big stress for the day, is they got to move the armoire in.
Yeah, their stress is, how much lacquer they got in the back for that bad boy. Someone's got to run to the hardware store and get some lacquer.
There's a fly fishing shop right there.
A whole shop for fly fishing.
Oh, there's a vinyl shop.
Oh,
There's
I
a
bet
fly
you they
fishing
got
shop,
some-
and then right next door is a record shop. Yeah,
Oh, I bet they got some cool vinyls in there.
I bet they do. I bet they do. I'll go check that out after this. Anyway,
Merle Haggard.
yeah, actually, they have a big AC/DC sign in the window, so I think,
yeah.
Merle Haggard, 80s rock.
I think AC/DC
Yeah.
just made it out there. That record was released
Like
for
the
the
new
first
AC/DC
time.
just dropped. and there's
It's
a
just
big
getting out
neon
there.
Rolling Stones sign above the door. I'll send y'all a picture of this
I
place.
bet you there's some finds in there. There's some soul finds in there too, I bet.
You know what? I'm going to go in there. This will be my treat to myself. All right. Well, moving the show along. Stay tuned. Up next, it's Slices.
I think God's a dogger, the window, laughing at a joke only friends know. Oh, this is life, 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 this is life.
You're listening to Winnetka Bowling League, Medium Build, and Dawes. The song is This Is Life. Okay, it's time for
Slices.
What do you have, Jesse?
TechCrunch recently noticed that there was a change in the privacy guidelines and the policy page on YouTube. And it could signal a thing to come. And it has to do with AI. So YouTube is now one of the first kind of streaming platforms that has updated their policy where if you feel like someone has uploaded a video that is of your likeness using AI. So that could be some sort of like deep fake or, there's tons of softwares now that you can emulate real people and have them say and do things that they didn't actually say or do. AI said, or YouTube, according to their new policy, says that if you can find content that is uniquely identifiable and has enough information that allows other people to recognize you, you can flag it and they'll review to see if it needs to be taken down, if it in fact meets those standards. Now, they put in a couple of guidelines for there's like satire and parody of public figures is still going to be allowed, but they said, this is kind of one of the first major sites to put in a policy where if there's a video that looks like you but isn't you, there's actually grounds to get it taken off the platform. So it could be a sign of things to come as kind of sites figure out how they want to address this. But I'm curious, like the implications beyond video stuff of I know one thing we've all talked about is I can make a song that emulates an artist or, that isn't satire or parody. That is hey, this is what this person would sound like doing this piece of art. Now, according to this policy, they may actually have grounds to get something like that taken off, or at least is that the way streaming music platforms will do? It doesn't necessarily have to be a copyright violation, but it is if it's uniquely identifiable as someone else that didn't actually produce it. Will other platforms follow suit with this?
I was worried about music in my career with AI. And then I was on YouTube and a ad came across my page where Steve Harvey was telling me that I could get a $6,800 rebate from the government. And that's
Really?
that's when I realized, and it literally was his voice. And that's when I realized that we have much bigger issues than cloning rappers. It was that Steve Harvey, somebody stole Steve Harvey's voice and was trying to get you to sign up for fake supplements from the government or scams or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. So I get it now. Like, I get that this is much bigger than me. So I think it's a good thing because it's not the tech literate people that are going to get taken advantage of. It's my mom. So be like, oh, Steve Harvey said that we get $6,800 from the government. Let me sign up and give all this information over. Like, it's her that's going to get taken advantage of. And I'm like, this cannot happen. Because they're going to start taking Alex Trebek. Well, oh my God, Lord Jesus, not Alex Trebek. They're going to start taking. He's
not going to say anything.
Yeah, exactly, right. But they take, Forrest Whitaker or Denzel Washington's voice or
politicians, I think,
a
is
politician voice, Donald Trump's voice. Did you know you can get $6,800 from the government? Like, you know what I mean? We got to do something. Like, we got to do something. I don't know if this is the right thing, but we do got to do something. I think we got to find out something.
I think it's going to be kind of a few things. Like, I think it's going to be policies like this, and just I think other companies kind of need to make policies too, and just kind of like collectively agree, like, okay, we need to protect, like you said, the tech illiterate people, and like, I don't even want to say illiterate. Like, there are times where I've seen AI and I consider myself to be fairly tech literate, and I kind of have to watch a video twice to be like, wait, was that AI or not? Like, because it is getting better, and it is a little bit trickier at times to see what is AI and what isn't. And like I said, like, politicians is the one that scares me the most, especially we're in an election year, and it's like, there's already enough misinformation online without AI messing things up. And so that's where I'm like, I need these big tech companies to step in and be like, okay, we're going to try to help and like mitigate as much as we can and hope for the best, I guess.
But it is like such an interesting like legal area, especially when you look at like, the First Amendment and, kind of creative expression. And like, I have I heard a really interesting argument that I hadn't heard the other day in like that works against like specifically musicians, right? Where, a lot of the lawsuits that have been filed against some of these AI companies is like, not on the output, but the input. Like, in order to create a song that sounds like, Billie Eilish, it has to intake all these songs from Billie Eilish, and kind of formulate how it can reproduce it. And a lot of the lawsuits have been like, well, you didn't have permission to intake that content. Like, that wasn't yours to take, and not pay for or license.
But
go ahead, Cameron.
But a counter argument to that is like saying, if you want me to write a paper or an article about a topic, right? And I need to learn about the topic. So I go read books about the topic. I then learn about that topic. And so then I can create original content based on the information you gave me. You can't then say, no, you can't write that article because you wouldn't have gotten that knowledge without our copyrighted content.
Well, exactly, because the case I heard that countered it was essentially that in the artistic way. It's like, I could go to any artist who says, I was influenced by Michael Jackson. Like, he was a big influence on me. And it's like, well, that means you listened to a lot of Michael Jackson and you took creative notes from him. So does that mean you're liable if you list influences? So it is sort of this quagmire that I don't know the answers for, but it's interesting seeing like now there's policies on sites like YouTube where, at least they're trying to establish what their rails are, for stuff like deepfakes. But in terms of like the legal stuff, man, it is a really it's a quagmire. I don't know what the implications of it all are.
The other thing too is like Derek's example. If the ad said, "I'm Steve Harvey and I'm endorsing this product," get it. But if it's just a voice that happens to kind of sound like Steve Harvey, what legal standing do they have to say you stole something? If they didn't misrepresent it, it's just a sound. It's just a voice. It's not. Yeah, they never said it was Steve Harvey. Maybe.
Yeah, but I think we're also under the moral implication to say that, regardless of like the nuts and the bolts, we're in the moral implication to say that you can't just that you can, technically, but you shouldn't be able to just take somebody's likeness that we know that that's them and be able to exploit that without their consent. Like, stuff is getting like super gnarly. Like, I don't know if you heard about this, but somebody put a deep fake of Megan Thee Stallion's face on a pornography video. right? And it's like, if we can't protect people's likenesses, we can't, it's not, I think you're under the assumption that people are always going to use those likenesses within the bounds of human decency. So there has to be some sort of rails that say, we can't just say, okay, well, hey, I can be influenced and a person would be influenced by all of this stuff from life. So therefore we can train AIs to be influenced in that way, because at the end of the day, yeah, the AI may be influenced, but then we're not necessarily protecting people just from the AI learning. The issue is not the AI learning. It's what the people who are training the AIs tend to do with what they learned. Like, that's the issue. It's not, oh, we want to train an AI so the AI can learn, right? So that a person can exploit someone else's likeness and style and vibe without their consent. That's the picture for me. It's like, why are they training the AI with Billie Eilish's voice or with Meg Thee Stallion's face and features, right?
I agree about the deepfake videos. Like, that is a line, but like, you said, emulate their style, their voice, their likeness. There have been celebrity impersonators for years. You know, like, I'm not talking about the parody comedians. I'm talking about like a Michael Jackson impersonator who makes money acting like Michael Jackson, looking like Michael Jackson, sounding like Michael Jackson. Like, he couldn't do that and make money without, he didn't get Michael Jackson's consent to do that. So to me, it's like the mimicry question is the real gray area. The deep fake videos isn't mimicking.
There's laws for parodies, though.
Well, YouTube, their line, and again, this doesn't add too much clarity, but their thing is what they have in their policy is, quote, uniquely identifiable. And so, like, I think if it looks like, if it sounds like, if the average person would say, I'm looking at Steve Harvey here. Like, this is genuinely uniquely identifiable as Steve Harvey. Where if it's like a voice in like a truck commercial that kind of sounds like Morgan, like, I think that's Morgan Freeman. You know what I mean? But like, it could just be someone who sounds like him, or it could be an AI that kind of emulates, like, I think. Again, I don't envy the people who have to make these distinctions, but that seems to be the line.
And that's the problem with the Steve Harvey commercial. They didn't come on and say, hey, this is an imitation of Steve Harvey. Like, and then go into it. They're trying to trick you to think that Steve Harvey is endorsing their thing. That's wrong. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's wrong. That, like, if I drop a song and I studied all of Billie Eilish's style or whatever, and then I clone an AI to take her voice and make it feel like this is a Billie Eilish release, that's wrong. It's wrong. There's no way around it. That's morally wrong, right? And that's what the protection should be. But if it's like, hey, I want to make a Billie Eilish parody thing, hey, it is what it is. That's protected, whether it's a computer or whether it's a human that's doing parody. But the issue to me is not the parody. It's that people are using AIs to actively trick people.
It's almost like they're going to have to come up with a verification system, like with political ads 10, 20 years ago. They said, okay, different people with different motives were running ads. You didn't know who was coming from. And now if it's an official ad, you have to end it with, I am the candidate and I endorse this message. Maybe there's going to be a thing that verifies, like a check mark that verifies authentic content versus created content that's not been authenticated. That's probably where it'll end up going for the consumers, is like, if I see that certain mark on it or the whatever, I know it's legit. And if I don't, I know it may not be. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, like Instagram is doing the made for AI thing. Have you seen that? Made with AI.
Yeah, but it's not effective because we posted a graphic that we made in Photoshop using zero AI, just our designer's ability. Yeah. We uploaded it and it automatically tagged it made with AI. And it's like, what? No, it wasn't. You know what I mean? So like, it's not worked itself out yet. We got to figure that out. But yeah.
Well, there's one quick point I just want to make that I feel like we kind of gloss over here. Derek, real quick, how do you get that $6,800 from the government?
I didn't click on the ad to find out. I didn't click on the ad to find out.
I'll find it. I'll do some research. But okay.
All right. What do you have, Emily?
Yes, I want to talk about just some, I don't even know how to wrap my head around it, but basically M.I.A. is selling these tinfoil hats online, and it makes me sad for so many reasons. One, because unfortunately, I think people are going to buy it, and it's $100. But basically, she started this new clothing brand line called Omni that she's calling the armor of the modern knight in the age of technological warfare. And she's selling like clothing and all these different things, whatever. But she's selling these bucket hats that she keeps calling tinfoil hats. They're not made of tinfoil. They're made of copper and different things. But they're supposed to block 5G.
It's lit. Let's go.
It's basically like
It's not a fashion thing. She legitimately is selling hats to block 5G signals from your brain.
Yeah, they're conspiracy theory hats. It's like basically a signal to let people know you believe conspiracy theory.
So, but it has. Okay. Does it have function? Is it like a Faraday cage for your head?
Yes.
Essentially, that you can wear a wearable Faraday cage. Okay.
Yeah.
What's a Faraday cage? I don't know what that is.
I'm on the site now. I'm about to get one.
A Faraday cage. A Faraday cage is
It's
like
worth it. My brain. What will you charge to keep your brain healthy?
It's like a box that blocks electronic interference from something. You know what I mean? Like it's lined with different materials that prevents certain frequencies from penetrating it on like the electromagnetic spectrum. You know,
I like it. I love it.
She was on our cover a couple of years ago because she became a Christian and wanted to talk about her faith. The interview was like an hour and a half long. It was deep. It was substantial. She was open about and excited about her new faith. And now 2 years later, she's a conspiracy theorist selling tinfoil hats. It's like, come on, M.I.A. How come we can't get any normal Christians in the celebrity space? You know what I'm saying? Why we need more Chris Pratts? Why do we get the weird conspiracy people?
No, it's good that we have Letitia Wright on the show today to kind of like counterbalance that, because Letitia is very outspoken Christian and she's not selling tinfoil hats. Praise God.
Tinfoil hats.
I wonder if she's trolling though.
Thank you, Letitia.
I wonder if
I don't
she's
think
trolling.
she is. She's like friends with like Alex Jones now. So she's going.
She's bought in.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think my favorite thing
goodness.
about all of this is on her site, she has all these different resources linking to these quote unquote studies that show why you should buy this hat, because it like protects your brain, like we said, from these 5G and Wi-Fi and all that and stuff. But the sources she used are like dailymail.com or like just fringe websites. That's actually not how like research should be from like official, maybe like government website. Like I need her to have a little bit more credible research.
No,
If
the
she's
government is in on it, Emily.
Listen, if you want me to give you
$100,
Emily, if you want me to give you $100 for a bucket hat, I'm going to need a little bit more proof. That's just
Does it have a Supreme logo on it? Otherwise, I'm not going to do that. Yeah.
You can iron that on, but it might kind of make the wave, like it might kind of allow some waves in.
Now the thing is, we pay money for stuff that doesn't have value. Like we pay $100 for a bunch of stuff that doesn't have value. It's just she creating she's serving her base. If that's what they feel like they want. Look, I ain't mad at it. If somebody want to pay $100 for a 5G hat, get it. Like it is what it is. Like, hey, it ain't no different than somebody paying $100 for a Gucci belt buckle.
Yeah, so it's made of copper and nickel fabric that can block what she claims is 99% of Wi-Fi, 4G, and 5G from reaching the wearer's brain.
Here's the thing. There's a market for that stuff. People are buying it, and there's somebody going to make money off of it. Might as well be her. So, but I'm not buying it. But
if you're really that concerned, I feel like you need to relocate to where Cameron is right now, because I don't think Wi-Fi is affecting any of the people.
All right, facts.
Yeah,
it's a fire hat though. I looked at it. It looks dope. It looks dope.
Listen, Britta's been selling their quote unquote filters for suckers that don't want to drink right out of the hose like me for years. You know? Enjoy.
Oh no,
suckers.
Man. I watched some homies pay literally $100 for a Gucci belt buckle. Like for me, I'm like, this don't really. It's just another dumb thing for Americans to spend money on. That's overpriced. So
yeah, well,
but yeah, I'm with you, Cameron. I'm like, why is the jump from I don't believe in God to I believe in God to now I got a tinfoil hat? Like, why is that? Why does that seem like there's a pathway to that? Like I don't know what the pathway is to that.
And I don't want to disparage any of these sincere believers, but like I had the same thought, and I said it on the podcast, I think a few weeks ago, talking about Russell Brand. Like, I'm so thrilled that he's legitimately turned his life over to the Lord. He's talking about it openly and stuff. And I went to his website to get a picture for a graphics that we were doing or something. And like, I didn't know how weird his podcast was and how weird his belief system was outside of now being a Christian. It's like,
but
why can't we just get anybody normal talking about Jesus?
But I'll raise this point, because I always think about this a lot when this happens. Point number one is this is really just the maturing of a believer in plain sight. Like, we have this expectations of people that get saved that they don't have to go through the maturing process that we did, because there was a point in time that I believed some conspiracies for sure. And the jump to believing that God came to earth and died on the cross for all of humanity is much more preposterous than that a tinfoil can block 5G waves. Like, so I think it takes a little bit of time for maturity of sorting things out and understanding, because you get on fire for God, and everything that you hear, you want to go out and tell the world about it because you're on fire for God. And it takes maturity to know, is am I on fire for God, or is am I on fire and been misled by a conspiracy? And I need to grow and process this more before I speak on it. So this is just a typical maturing process that everyone goes through. I just think we give people that have had a level of success less grace in that area.
For sure. I think you're right.
You nailed
Derek.
it on the head.
Yeah.
I was saying what I was saying with a little wink, because it's like, you're right. I mean, especially with these people that are prone to believing the untold story. I mean, the gospel is a bizarre belief system.
It is.
I mean, it really is. So there's definitely a connection point. I totally see it. I just want a couple more Chris Pratts. Just a couple nice.
And once you
love Jesus.
And listen, once you mature in your faith to a certain level, you're not as susceptible to falling for things that are not obviously true. Real talk. I just finished filling out this form from that Steve Harvey ad. I gave him my social, bank account info. So I'm getting that. They said it would
Sounds
be
like a
here
great deal.
any day now. I can't believe I missed this
Sounds
for
like a
so
great
long.
Yeah.
Look, man, like, we believe our faith is, how they say your biggest strength sometimes can be your worst enemy.
How many Christians over the years have like believed that Christ was returning on November 8th, 1997?
One of these days they're going to be right.
Or
okay?
like last week's podcast with Marty and Emily, we were in Slices. We were talking about there's a pastor in Mexico selling real estate in heaven. He's selling it for a square meter is only $1,000 or $100 US. But then we looked it up, and it wasn't the first time a pastor's been physically selling heavenly real estate. Pastor in Nigeria was doing it.
He's going to hell.
Dude, it's like
he's going to hell.
and all these believers are believing it.
He's going to hell.
It's like Christians are just prone to this stuff. It's just like, come on, guys. Chris Pratt would have never fallen for that
in my life, but that guy who did that is going to hell, y'all.
Look, I got to be honest though. I don't know the full story, but I'll tell you what. When this $6,800 deposit clears, I might take him up 1 square meter and just see.
You can get a nice mansion in heaven.
Bruh.
I'll be flush. I'm about to be flush, guys.
Y'all remember? You remember during the pandemic that the people was selling the rapture for your pets? Like, they was gonna take care of your pets when you get raptured away. I remember that.
That's a good business deal, actually.
I thought all dogs went to heaven. They was like, no, they finna be down here with us.
all the sinners. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. What do you have, Derek?
Well, let's keep it on a religious topic. My man Joel Osteen is getting roasted. Imagine he's trying to, like, first of all, Joel, this is the thing, man, I feel bad for Joel, because I really feel like Joel just wants us all to get along. He just wants us all to be happy. He just wants us all to just love God and love our neighbors. But he just tweeted this. He said, it's the simple things in life that bring us the most joy. You may not have a lot of resources, but if you have family, you're blessed. If you have your health, you're blessed. If you can look up to the stars at night, you're blessed. And, I know when he was writing that out, he was just really reflecting on his life. What's his man, probably 50-something, reflecting on his life, trying to show some love. Let me show you what the internet said to him. Here's a few responses to good old Joel. If you can look up from the stars from the balcony of your mansion, you're Joel Osteen. Are you donating your salary then? Yeah, Joe, your multi-million-dollar mansion and $350,000 Maserati are the simple things in life. Why don't you try living like you preach Jesus would have you? Move into an average home, drive a Chevy, get your own clothes and groceries, cook, clean, 6 months. Deal? They are frying this man right now.
It's a good message that he said. Like, I mean, I've heard so many pastors say it. It's great.
He's right.
He's
not
right.
lying.
It's just, it is like, ooh, I don't know if you might not be the best messenger to deliver that.
Right. It's not the message, it's the messenger.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
And
But
that's
he ain't did nothing but make money and tell people that God is real.
He stood us up years ago at a Nick Willinda tightrope walking event, which I just uttering that. I got stood up by Joel Osteen at a Nick Willinda tightrope walking
Did you for
TV
real?
special.
I was there.
As I'm saying that, I realize
Yes.
how weird
It's
our lives have been.
No, it's true.
But
Yes, our lives have been very
so
weird.
I don't have much empathy just based on that.
You were the ones
I
tweeting all this.
ran into Joel
Man.
Osteen. I ran into Joel Osteen on the pit of a chariot race course that was being erected, like a Roman chariot race course that was being erected in Morocco
in his house
for the movie Ben-Hur. And I was standing in the sand watching them shoot the scene where the chariot race, there's a collision and the horse and buggy runs up into the crowd and the crowd disperses. And I look to my left and Joel Osteen is standing next to me. Like our life is weird, Jesse. Like, our life is weird.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you
Very
guys
strange.
say things that it makes me, I think you guys are like trolling me and you actually are just like
No, it was-
filling out a
those
Mad
are-
Lib and you're
No,
like,
it-
okay, who's a pastor?
No, it
Joel
really
Osteen.
happened.
Where are we? Morocco.
Yeah.
Like that's what it sounds like sometimes when you tell
Yeah.
the story.
Yeah. For real.
No, but Jesse and I flew up to downtown Chicago because Discovery Channel was filming a live Nick Willinda stunt where he tightroped in between those two towers in Chicago that look,
the Wilco
like
Towers,
1960s. And the famous ones. And so we're down there watching this, all the prep, it's going to be live. And Jesse and I realized, because we were there as a joke, because Jesse's always loved Nick Willinda stunts, tongue in cheek. And we're like, we should go. And we're there on the viewing platform for media. And he and I looked at each other like, we're sickos, because the only reason why we're here watching this is the likelihood or possibility this guy's going to plummet to his death on live national television. What is wrong with us?
It was like-
what are we doing here?
I remember-
it was like a sobering reality that our funny jokes are like not funny. What are we doing?
It was like that
We had
way
to
back in the
reevaluate our
day.
lives after that.
I way back in the day, I remember how mad I was that there was going to be this TV special where the guy built his own body armor and was going to get eaten by an anaconda on live TV. Do you remember that?
Yep.
And
Discovery Channel. It was in their stunt era.
What?
yeah.
Yeah,
I
Discovery
was
Channel.
so mad because it didn't work out.
Eating alive, the beast in the
great
man versus
idea.
the man or whatever.
What was the body armor supposed to do?
It was like catcher's gear. It was going to
Keep
prevent
him from getting crushed inside
Yeah.
the snake.
Yeah, it was a great idea, but the snake was not interested. Like the snake was like, I'm not. No, I didn't consent to this.
So anyway, leave Joel alone. He love y'all. Let's go. Leave him alone. Joel love y'all.
Stop being mean to nice people on the internet. There you go. That's the lesson of the day. All right. That'll do it for Slices. Make sure to check out relevantmagazine.com where there's way more of that stuff and the stuff we're covering at the intersection of faith and culture. All right. Stay tuned. Up next, Letitia Wright joins us.
Emily, if you could drop a link I'm sending you to this .biz about this rebate that the government's just handing out.
You get an extra $2,000 if I sign up. Got it.
Yeah. But please include your social. Thanks.
You're listening to Aaron Frazier. The song is Easy to Love. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by World Vision. We all subscribe to a lot of services that make our lives easier and more entertaining. But as followers of Jesus, we should want to seek first the kingdom of God in all areas of life, including our spending. That's why I'm so excited about a new kind of subscription through World Vision. Not one for myself, but for others. It's called Believers for World Change. And when you sign up, you're joining a community of change makers working to help end extreme poverty around the world and here at home. World Vision is a Christian humanitarian organization that works with children, families, and communities to reach their God-given potential, focusing on things like gender equality, spiritual nurture, and access to clean water, education, job training, and healthcare, so the entire picture of poverty can be addressed. Let's subscribe to something new together. Subscribe to World Change today at worldvision.org. Again, that's worldvision.org. Well, our guest today is Letitia Wright. She's an actress known for her huge roles in Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. Well, recently she's stepped into a producer role, creating her own company, 316 Productions. Get it? She served as an executive producer on Angel Studios' new film Sound of Hope, which tells the true story of a small Texas community who banded together to foster and adopt 77 children in their area. Emily sat down with Letitia to hear more about her connection to the story, what she wants people to know about the foster care system, and how the church can make a difference. Here's our conversation with Letitia Wright.
So you worked as an executive producer on The Sound of Hope. How did you get connected with the film in the first place?
So I became aware of the project in 2020. I was starting the production company and I was reaching out to other production companies. So I got in touch with the team at Out of Order. They're behind Chosen. So they were just like sharing with me what's on their slate. I was sharing stuff that I wanted to do. So they told me about this story. They shared with me the script and all of the interviews that was out there. I was super intrigued. The script wasn't really where it needed to be at the time. But I was intrigued with the story and just the sacrifice of this family really for kids. And it went from there. And I just signed on to help just creatively like give, input and advice and stuff like that. And just to get behind something that I felt was really positive.
What was your knowledge of the foster care system like before you started working on this project?
So before I started the film, my knowledge of the foster care system was based in London. So my auntie actually, when I can't remember how old I was when she started, but she would foster kids. And I saw firsthand, kind of like the 3-step situation of like a new child coming into a home. They're quite scared, they're quite vulnerable, and they don't know if this foster mom or foster family is gonna help them, heal. And I saw what love did for these kids. They became literally if you want to say cousins, really, to the point where, we would be going abroad or my auntie would be traveling with her foster son and, people would be like, is this your kid? And it's like, no, it's just my foster kid. So I just saw that, as a second step of what love and care, did for them. And then the third step, which is like time for adoption for them to move on. And sometimes it was difficult because we had such a great bond with them, but they were ready to move on to have a new family. So that was the first hand experience that I saw about, families stepping in to help kids.
How would you say your view of foster care and adoption changed after working on this film?
Yeah, for sure. I saw how bigger of an issue it is in terms of just the amount of kids that's put into the foster care system and then the amount of homes that's needed, and just the urgency for us to as a humanity, just get behind it and make sure that every kid has a loving home. I think this film has opened that reality up to me in a big way.
I did want to ask about your production company that you have called 316 Productions. How do you decide which films you want to work with?
It varies. It depends on the story. I feel like at 316, I try to keep the motto or the ethos, I should say, as like following like stories that have meaningful content with cinematic excellence. So it's like most times when you have a company, if you want to tap into projects, sometimes it lacks meaningful impact or just something meaningful really that someone could take away. And then the cinematic kind of like execution is sometimes poor. So I just didn't want to do that with my company. So for me, most times I would team up with a production I'm already being an actor for. So that's more in the independent front where you can be able to do that a little bit more and executive produce or just produce alongside. So I'm learning what I need to learn alongside just being an actress and that. So I've done that for movies like Silent Twins, Surrounded, Possum Trot I did acting, and then the next movie that I'm doing now, I'm also co-producing. So that's how I do it. And then there's other projects where I would just get the idea, I'd write it down, and then I would produce it or direct it. Like it just depends. But as long as it has meaningful content and cinematic excellence, and then like God just guides me on like how I need to do it, I just do it.
It does feel like we're at sort of an interesting time with Christian films because there are movies and shows like Sound of Hope or The Chosen, like you mentioned earlier, that are being done with this excellence, like you're talking about. At least that's something that, I've noticed recently. Do you feel like there's a movement happening with Christian films right now?
Honestly, I haven't really tapped into that, if I'm honest. I think if I keep it so real with you, I never really found movies that felt predominantly like super, super Christian to be quite good. Gonna just be real with you. It's been poorly executed and kind of a shame because we all carry the Holy Spirit, and then it's like, oh, why does the film look like that? So as a person, like obviously, and I've been a Christian since like 2016, so I'm still a baby Christian. I'm not OG level yet. When I'm at OG level, I'll let you know. But for me, it's just like I never really tapped into it because obviously I grew up watching so many different movies. But then now that I've found my faith with Christ, like I just feel like I don't know if there's a movement happening or what it is. Like, I'll be honest with you, I just think it's just people's desire to tell good stories, really leaning into the Holy Spirit and really executing it well. So you can see like The Chosen and how like that's just does this. It just did its thing. It just focused on what it needed to do. They did it with absolute excellence, and they have a like huge following, and it's just pure backing, right? And you can see what God can do when you just apply it yourself, right? So I think like that's just what's happening right now. Like, for example, like we see this story with the Martins, and we see Josh and we see Rebecca be inspired to tell it, sacrifice the time to go and learn about what's happening, in Possum Trot. How did this come to be? How can we use this to make impact? And then hiring people who can shoot the thing properly and editing the thing properly, and really like getting wisdom and really being diligent. So I think what we're seeing is just what I feel is happening is just like meaningful content with cinematic excellence, and then God gets glorified through it. Because honestly, if you make something that's kind of rubbish, nobody wants to see that. Just like if it was still rubbish if it wasn't a Christian-based film. Once a film sucks, it sucks. But if someone's just like, this is beautiful, and they're Christian, like, I want to watch that. So I think it's just that's what's happening.
That was Letitia Wright. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, she is the cover story of issue 115 of Relevant, which, depending on when you're listening to this show, is either coming out tomorrow or it's out now. You can go over to relevantmagazine.com, click on the magazine tab, and it's all right there. If you want to see our beautifully designed enhanced edition, we've totally redone it from what we've been doing the last 4 years. It is worth checking out. You can get that as well as a lot of other extras and ad-free reading and listening by joining Relevant Plus. You can get all that info on the Relevant Plus tab at relevantmagazine.com. Now, longtime listeners know that each time we have a new issue out, we do an issue preview. We talk about it and tell you behind the scenes. We're going to do a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff on Friday's show. But today, because the issue is coming out this week, I do want to tell you some of the other stuff that's in the issue besides our conversation with Letitia. We also have an expanded, in-depth conversation with Carl Lentz. Now, if you listen to the show, you know a few weeks ago we had an hour-long conversation with Carl on this show. Well, there is another interview, a separate interview that you haven't heard yet, and we have an in-depth feature on his journey over the last 4 years since the scandal, his healing, his recovery, how his family's doing, and a lot more. Do not miss that one. We also talked to WNBA legend M.I.A. Moore and how after she hung up her jersey, she's now focusing on reforming prisons and educating Americans on incarceration. Fascinating story. We talked to Judah and the Lion. We walked through the emotional and devastating journey of their latest album, The Process. We have Local Natives. After years of ups and downs with the band, Local Natives is closing this chapter of their lives with the release of their new album, But I Will Wait For You, and we get the full story in the new issue. We highlight one of our favorite new worship collectives out of Seattle, One Voice. They're just getting started, but they've got big plans for the future. We have Caleb Hearn, the singer-songwriter, opens up about his musical career, his faith, staying aligned with God's plan. We also talked to Colony House. The surf rock group is celebrating 10 years, believe it or not. They have a new album out called When I Was Younger. Great story. We have Australian pop sibling trio, Shepherd. They have a hope-filled new album that we highlight. Also, we look at AI, not just the future and all the ways it's going to change the world, but the side of AI they're not telling you. There's a justice side of this, the environmental and cultural impacts that can't be ignored. We dig into that in the issue as well. 10 amazing features, and like I said, they're all available in issue 115 of Relevant. You can just click on the magazine tab at relevantmagazine.com. All right, more to come on all that. But right now, stay tuned. Up next, it's Rock Band or Firework. You're listening to Washed Out. The song is Wait on You. Well, today's episode is brought to you in part by American Prophet. What would God say through a prophet today? In the speculative new fiction book, American Prophet, Peter has dreams of major events that keep coming true. Heralded as a modern-day prophet, he also attracts conspiracy theories and violent threats. Forced to the open road, Peter strives to remain true to his calling as he drives deep into the heart of a divided nation. Download your copy of American Prophet today. Well, Relevant has a lot happening this year, and we don't want you to miss a thing. Make sure to sign up for our newsletter right there on the front page at relevantmagazine.com, and we'll send you our top 5 trending stories sent to your inbox every weekday. We'll also send you a weekly podcast newsletter with the latest episodes, some fan extras, and first peeks at the new shows that we're going to be rolling out throughout this year. Make sure to sign up. It's the best way to keep in touch with everything we got going on. All right, it's time for
Rock Band or Firework. It's Rock Band or Firework. Rock Band or Firework.
Rock Band or or Firework. It's our annual tradition. I am going to say the name of a thing, and you're going to tell me if this is an actual firework that you can buy from Phantom Fireworks on fireworks.com, or is it the name of a rock band, not an obscure album title or something like that, but the actual name of a rock band. All right? Rules are clear?
Yes.
You guys are all playing.
Let's
Here
get
we
it.
go.
I'm ready.
Jesse, you're up first. Cosmic Carnival.
Rock band.
It's a firework. Emily, Rainbow Kitten Surprise.
That's a band.
It is a rock band. There you go. Derek, Falcon Rising.
Oh, it's definitely a firework.
It is a firework. Good job. Jesse, Wonderstruck.
Rock band.
It's a firework. Oh, you're over 2. All right, Emily, Glass Tiger.
Band?
It is a rock band. Good job. Derek, Axe.
Like with a X.
AXE.
Oh,
AXE.
we're going rock. We're
Axe.
going rock man.
It is a rock band. Jesse, you're getting killed.
I know.
All right, Jesse, Saturn Battery.
That's definitely a firework.
It is a firework.
Oh,
good job.
good.
Emily, Dogs Die in Hot Cars.
Band?
It is a band.
I was saying, what kind of firework
Derek.
would that be?
I remember them. They were pretty cool.
Derek, Power Cell.
Oh, that's a rock man.
It's a firework.
Dang.
Jesse, the Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza.
I cannot describe to you how much I want this to be a firework, though I'm pretty certain it's a rock band. I'm gonna go rock band, but I really hope it's a firework, even though I get it wrong.
It's a rock band. Emily, Pissing Razors.
Firework?
It's a rock band.
I gotta look them up later.
Derek, Thermal Expansion.
Rock band.
It's a firework.
Dang, I thought she was trying to trick me.
Jesse, Princess Pang.
Rock band.
It is a rock band. Emily, Molotov Cocktail.
Firework?
It is a firework. Jesse, or Derek, Tiger Tails with a Z on the end.
Firework.
Rock band. All right, Jesse, Whistling Bottle Rockets.
Firework.
It is a firework. See, I thought I would switch you.
I know,
okay,
no,
anyway.
trust me. As the architect of this game, I know the double switch. The reverse. You try to Uno reverse card me.
Emily, Mount Olympus Thunder.
Firework.
It is a firework, yeah. Derek, Natalie Portman Shaved Head.
If that ain't a rock band, bro, that's a rock band, bro.
It is a rock band. All right, last round. Here we go. Jesse, Eye Candy.
Firework.
Oh, it is a firework. Emily, We Butter the Bread with Butter.
Please be a rock band.
It is a rock band. All right, Derek, last one. Fanny Bloom.
Firework.
It's a rock band. That's her name of band.
She was also my 4th grade teacher, Fanny Bloom.
All right, what's the final score, Emily?
Okay, Derek had 4, Jesse had 5, I had 6.
Boo!
Oh, congratulations, Emily. You won
Good job.
the 2024 edition of Rock Band or Firework. Well, many thanks to Letitia Wright for joining us. Make sure to check out her cover story in issue 115 of Relevant. It is out this week at relevantmagazine.com. All right, on that note, we'll wrap it. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Emily Brown.
I'm Derek Miner.
We'll see you on Friday. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
How do you get that $6,800 from the government?
Relevant Podcast Network.